Let's now bring in political analyst Dr. Naimeka Obiariri to join us in exploring this conversation even further. Good morning, Dr. Obiariri. Welcome to the show. I want to find out what your thoughts are regarding this announcement of the names of the terrorism financiers. A number of Nigerians have asked what next, and if there's going to be any form of investigation or any further look into the matter, if it's not just going to end as a show. So what are your thoughts on this?
I find the whole setup very laughable. I was smiling when, let me explain to you. Let us stop deceiving ourselves in this country. 15 terrorist financiers. Are we joking or are we kidding? Let us go back memory lane. Jonathan Goodluck, when he was president, after the Chibok girls kidnap saga, mentioned clearly that most of the supporters of terrorism and financial were even within his own government. Karau Baraje, the former national secretary of the APC, if you can Google it, stated clear that most of the bandits and terrorists tormenting Nigeria today were imported by the APC. He was very specific that they brought them in to foment trouble, thinking that Jonathan will not concede if he loses election. Those guys have not gone back. Now, Senator Shehu Sani said something very interesting. Most of the bandits and kidnappers and terrorists that have been abducting people, collecting hundreds of millions, billions of naira ransom, then when you see them, they look haggard. Who are they remitting most of those funds to? And you see their video clips. They parade armored personnel carriers. They parade truck mounted with machine guns. They parade sophisticated weapons. They parade RPGs. What programs do you think these guys have in Nigeria, and what are they trying to do? See, Olive, if we want to tackle terrorism to its roots, if we want to eliminate this madness in the land, we need to go beyond all this show. Oh, we got 15 names. They are not even announced apart from the name of one person. See, the volume of money is being funneled to these guys. Okay, look at the people that kidnapped those kids in Kaduna, demanding 40 trillion, demanding 150 motorcycles and 15 high-loss trucks. What do you think motivated them to make such kind of silly demands? They know that even if you sell everybody in Kaduna State, including Kaduna government, because they have their eyes on the federal government, these things are all games. Now, if we want to stop this madness, we need to go back to the foundation. We need to go back to the constitutional and physical framework of it. That is the roots. Let me tell you, if we decide today to restructure Nigeria back to the 1963 constitutional, physical, socio-economic, and governance framework that allowed the constituent units to be semi-autonomous, everybody go back to your region. Produce whatever you can produce. Keep 50%. Pay 30% to the center. And then 20% to the federal government. Reduce the responsibilities and allocation to the federal government. Let the regions have a security framework, like Amatokun in the southwest, that works for them. Let me tell you what will happen. When we have a totally restructured Nigeria back to the 1963 framework, and they have a security architecture that is governed mostly by people from that area, close your mind and eyes and imagine if within that local government area, we had 1,000 military men recruited from that local government, recruited from that community with sophisticated weapons like the bandits. Imagine if they will allow the bandits an inch of coming into their land to kidnap their children.
All right, Mr. Berry.
Security is ridiculous. So all these things they are doing, we are listing 50, it will not stop it. Buhari wasted $27 billion on it to fight security. Today it has even festered more. Yeah. Let us do the right now. Stop wasting people time with all this kind of shenanigans they are trying to do.
All right. I mean, the restructuring conversation is, is a totally different one, and it might take a while before we finally accept that it's maybe necessary. But let's talk, more about Tukur Mamu and other people that have been named, but 15 names and BDCs. Tukur Mamu's name is not new. He's been named since 2022. By, of course, the previous administration. So, I mean, seeing his name being called once again, it's even shocking for some people, that this is not, new information. And so, do you think that there's any sincerity, with this list that has been, that has been released now? Is the new administration maybe likely to take, harder steps against terrorism financiers? And would they really be honest, about going against people who are financing terrorism, and including those in customs, allegedly, who are letting these weapons into the country?
My brother, the terrorism business and the kidnapping business have become an established business. In fact, it has become one of the most profitable sector in Nigeria for those who are participating in it. And it goes beyond these 15 names. It goes beyond. I can even tell you for sure that some of these names listed.
All right.
Please go ahead.
Okay, I can even tell you for sure that some of these names listed may just be, how will I even put it? It's just like the shenanigan going on with the trial of Emefiele, who is just one person out of more than hundreds of people who pillaged Nigeria. See, if we want to tackle insecurity in Nigeria, if we want to tackle terrorism, if we want to stop this madness, Osarogie, we know what to do. We've listed this even before restructuring. If we want to stop this madness, I've said it. Mr. President promised us that he will enroll 50 million youths into the army. We don't want 50 million youths. We don't need 50 million youths in the army. Basically, what we need today is to put together a military arrangement where from every of the 8,809 electoral wards, let the communities donate 100 of their children, their sons. Every community knows the good, the bad, and the ugly. Those who they know that can protect them. That is about 800,000 young and able-bodied men. Take them to the military camps, train them, arm them just like the bandits are armed. Give them AK-49. Provide 4 armored personnel carriers in every local government area. Give them truck-mounted machine guns. Post them back to their communities, back to their ward. Let me tell you what will happen. They will come every inch. These bandits and terrorists are not ghosts.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
From where they operate.
Mr. Barry, the problem with that is, and of course, it might be a strategy that would work, no doubt. If they're properly armed, if they're dedicated, I get that. But the problem with that is that we already have an army. We already have, security agencies. We already have people whose role is to fight terrorism. We already have that, but it still doesn't seem to be working. And the reason is that there's a lot of, allegedly a lot of people who are sabotaging the efforts in the fight against terrorism. No. There are people who are making money, from sabotaging these same efforts. So what steps the government takes now is maybe what would, determine how much better the fight against terrorism would be, because arming people is not, we've done that already.
Osarogie, let me explain to you. Nigeria today, we do not have, our military are overstretched. That's the truth.
Yes.
How many military men do we have in Nigeria? Israel, with a landmass of 22,000 square kilometers, have over 169,000 armed soldiers. Not even talk about reservists. That's about 1.18% of their population. They are about 9.3 million people. Based on our landmass and our estimated population, we should have nothing less than 3 million military men. Let me tell you, and this kind of structure we have today is so that there is no incentive, there is no motivation for the military men to lay down their life. You say somebody from Pambegwa or from Zamfara to go to Rumokuru to go and protect the people there. The guy sets up checkpoints and as means of extorting motorists. There's no incentive. But where you post trained military men, you can call them infantry rangers. You post them to the, I'll give you an example. You have such 1,000 rangers in that community and their children are in school. Let me tell you, beyond being military men, there is that filial motivation to protect their sons and their wives. They would rather die than allow their children to be kidnapped. And that is the truth. The current military architecture in Nigeria does not give room for trust. And I will tell you this, under this special arrangement, confidence is boosted. Even the locals will be able to give intelligence report to those special military men under the military high command, who are their kids, who are their brethren, who are their brothers. And that is the truth. You and I know that Nigeria is totally divided. We don't not deceive ourselves. Nigeria is so divided along ethnic and religious lines that there is so much breakdown in trust. This special arrangement, and they will be properly paid. And we even use them to protect clusters of not less than 1,000 hectares of agro parks in every electoral ward. This arrangement will not only offer 24/7 security protection that elicits trust and confidence among the people, it will also provide us avenue to develop at least new 30 million hectares of upstream farm gates and processing plants that can allow us to produce everything we consume here and export nothing less than $100 billion worth of goods and services annually. We've done a report on this. I have a team. We've developed a massive template. We can give it to the government. These things are self-funded. These things are not going to put any pressure on the FARC and the JAC. And these things can be done within months. If we want to tackle security to the roots, we must devise creative and unique ways. The current security architecture arrangement in Nigeria is not working and will not work.
Well,
all right. So let's talk about, we're going to run through the names shortly, but I'd like you to highlight from your perspective what you think the role of the Bureau de Change is in all of this.
The Bureau de Change operators of a truth cannot function if they don't have, if the bankers are also not doing what they're supposed to do. The Bureau de Change operators are only secondary operators. Remember, they don't print dollar. They don't export anything to get dollar. The Bureau de Change operators only receive dollar either through rival remittances from Nigerians in diaspora or through allocations from the central bank or from the banks. We have said this, that if we want to regulate the Bureau de Change, we can regulate them. You can make it simple. Pass a law. Nobody should be allowed to have anything more than $1,000 cash at any point in time. If you're caught with it, 1 year imprisonment, no option of fine. Everybody must transfer dollar electronically. Open a DOM account. As you're coming into Nigeria from outside, if you have dollar cash, pay it into your DOM account, take Naira through the official window. If we put in place a digital tracking for dollar expenses, Naira movement in Nigeria, it will be easy for security operators to track these things. And for example, again, nobody will be able to do any transaction without having his BVN, his NIN, and his tax identification number linked to his accounts. Any bank or any financial institution or any BDC that transacts in an account that does not have these 3 linkages should be arrested, prosecuted, jailed without option of fine. When we put these measures in place, tackling insecurity is the smallest thing that we can do in Nigeria if we are very sincere. The world is a global village. Why do you think that United Arab Emirates, holy Muslim country, from their leadership, practically 99% of their citizens are Muslims? Why do you think in the Middle East they are one of the most secured states in the whole world? It's the same thing.
all right.
They have put in place digital, sincere infrastructure to stop that kind of madness. And we can replicate the same thing here. It's not just enough listing 15 names. We know that it's way, way beyond 15 names. And we know that if we want to stop it, we can easily stop it. But we need to do the right things.
Yeah, well, in the interim, before we move on to other things, I'll also like you to quickly share your thoughts on the strides being made by the Naira. It seemed to have gained some value yesterday, exchanging for 1,300 and something, 1,400. And I was seeing people celebrating and throwing parties across the country. But before we get there, what immediate steps do you think the government should take after naming these 15 names? Tukur Mamu is said to be an aide to Sheikh Gumi, I believe. Do you expect that the Tinubu administration will take very, very strong steps after these names have been called?
The government of the day know the real sponsors of terrorism in Nigeria. Yeah. They know where these bandits reside. Even Sheikh Gumi said it. They know the names of these bandits. We like playing games in Nigeria, and I detest this kind of political correctness that we practice here in Nigeria. The same thing happened before the Odi massacre. We saw what happened. Alamesie gathered some thugs and armed them to rig election. It's reported. And after rigging the election, those guys were not settled. And they went killing people, doing all manner of criminality. After they killed policemen, Obasanjo warned them and asked them to fish out those guys. They said the second batch of military men, they killed them. There was ample opportunity for those within the society who knows them to bring them out. They refused before Obasanjo moved the military men. If anybody tells you in Nigeria that they don't know those who are responsible, they are deceiving you, they are lying. But they are all playing politics. On the issue of the dollar, if you look at the article I published last week, I predicted that the dollar would trend down to 1,400. There is nothing magical about it. Practically, we have some dollar that we borrowed that is being used to liquidate some of the matured obligations. Of course, they've not finished liquidating. Don't mind the lie that are telling you that they finished liquidating backlog. It's not true. I know of many honest backlog owners who are still there have not been paid. Now, it is trending down, good and fine. But what are our plans to curb the leakages and to stop and to shore up the supply side? I want to predict and put it on record. If we don't shore up the leakages, by the first week of April, when they have received the FARC and the JAC, the dollar will trend up again. It has always been a cycle. The leakages, the demand and the supply of the dollar, honest demand for the dollar. If Nigeria had been operating, working with honest demand for the dollar, Naira to the dollar would have been at 199. Why we are where we are today is because the corruption and the fraudulent demand for the dollar is actually 60%. Fueled by the corruption from the public sector. I have said it here and I bear repeating it again. Out of the over 43 trillion naira that was appropriated expenditure among the 3 tiers of government in 2004 for 24, over 60% will be looted. There's no mistake about it. And they will be looted and they will be used to pursue properties and to buy dollar. Divide 60% of 43 trillion by 150 to tell you the amount of dollar that will leak out of the system, because we have refused to do the right thing to stop the leakages. And what is that right thing? I repeat again, ban use of dollar cash. More than 1,000. May everybody who owns an account in the banking industry or anywhere must attach their name, their BVN and their team. Make it impossible and difficult for the public office holders and their corruption cronies and trust in the private sector to launder public sector funds. If you do it, I bet you in the next 1 year, Naira will come down to $500 to $1.
Yeah.
But as long as we refuse to plug criminal leakages, let us stop deceiving ourselves.
Yeah.
To be doing yo-yo.
Yeah, I mean, you might go further with this criminal leakages conversation, but help us understand the relationship between FARC allocations, and the change in Naira value. What happens after FARC is shared?
Let me explain to you what's happening here. Have you bothered to ask yourself this question? Why do governors and our political appointees always, anything that has to do with social investment, anything that has to do with investment that will not allow them to over-invoice contracts and cream out the rest? The EFCC chairman told us that between 2018 and 2020, over 2.9 trillion were creamed out through over-invoicing. Let me tell you what it is. It's very simple. It's a common knowledge. A road contract that should be 300 million naira per kilometer, they will inflate it to 1 billion naira per kilometer. The contractor they appointed, they will pay him. He will move about 300 to 500 million, which is the share of the whoever is awarding the contract. Buy dollar for him, buy properties for him, and they will launder it. That is why you see most of them. They are doing, you see them, most projects that they do are projects that has to do with contract award. Anytime you come to them with a proposal or with a scheme that is so transparently done under a PPP structure, they don't buy into it. Why do you think that we have been crying? The Petrobras equivalent of NNPC has only 28% government shares in it. Government of Brazil sold that. Brazilians are as corrupt as Nigerians. But they know how to deter corruption. They sold out with 8% everything and left only with 8% for Brazilian government. Oh, from 1970, the Petrobras assets about 174 billion. Their profit for last year was about $7 billion, and their revenue was about $121 billion. What of that of NNPC that is older than Petrobras? Only $58 billion. If we want to make it work and transparent, divest 60% government shareholding, just like the Petrobras did, just like we did in Nigeria liquefied natural gas. Allow capable, deep-pocketed, technically savvy private investors to take up that 60% and shield NNPC from the vagaries and manipulation of political office holders and the political and National Assembly. And I bet you, in the next 1 year, NNPC assets will grow to about $100 billion. NNPC, you're calling today, will become so profitable that Nigerians will be wondering what happened. But as long as you allow the management and the board to continue to be under the manipulation of the public sector officials in ministries, in National Assembly, we keep on wasting our time. They know the truth. The only thing that eliminates corruption is deterrence, transparency, and accountability. And they don't want to do it. If you plug the leakages, put in the deterrence measures, EFCC should set up a crack team, 100 in their group that understand forensic. People like us who understand can track the money. CBN do the same thing. And as the governors award contract, pursue the money, pursue the contractors. Local government chairmen who they used to lumberjack, pursue them, they have no immunity. When you put deterrence in place and somebody knows that once he loses, he goes to jail, no hiding place.
Yeah, but
Nigeria
they're not
as
awarding
long as we keep up the footing, we are wasting our time.
Yeah, but they're not awarding contracts every month. You know, if they receive their FAC allocation, and from your predictions, early April, the dollar is, of course, the Naira is going to spike again and be hitting 1,005, maybe 1,006, maybe even more. That can't be because they've all awarded contracts. There has to be something else.
When contracts are awarded, payments are not made in block at the same time.
Right.
I give you an example. You award a road contract of 16 billion naira. Your fact for that month may be 5 billion. Of course, you pay based on milestones. See, let me tell you, I am in Nigeria. I am a bank. I've been here for 23 years. I see things, I hear things, I know things. And I tell you of a truth. That is why they are fighting somebody like Alex Oti in Niger State. Alex is a banker, a cracked one for that matter. He has blocked the leakages. They are no longer sharing money among the elites. And you can see what he has done over the last 9 months. You could smell sincerity. You could see honesty. You could see transparency. You could see what's happening in Niger State. In 9 months, what the guy has done in 9 months is more than what they have done over the last 23 years. Why? Because look at his appointees. Look at those he's working with. The first thing he did was to go to the private sector and bring in a smart woman and made him accountant general of the state. And they moved the establishment that have been criminal things. You saw what happened. Accountant generals of Nigeria went to UK to go and do conference. What kind of madness is that? And of course, they are at the center of the corruption in Nigeria. So the sincerity of purpose is what is needed. We need more of governors. We need more of political appointees like Dr. Alex Oti. But beyond that, we need to fix the institutions. We need legislative interventions that will bring about deterrence and plugging of leakages.
All right, Mr. Obiariri, I want you to touch again on the conversation surrounding the CBN clearing valid foreign backlog, because there have been mixed reactions to that information on social media. So I want you to share your thoughts on that again, highlighting exactly what happened and the impact that has on our economy.
I find it, I so much appreciate Yemi Kadosha for what he's doing. I've commended him many times, but I think we also need to be very upfront here. Not all valid forward obligation has been paid, and that is the truth. You media men also need to step out and begin to interview the bankers confidentially. Talk to them in confidence, the MDs of the banks, the treasurers of the banks, the account officers in the bank, and they will tell you of the truth. I am in this system. I have friends. I've spent 23 years here. I have friends across most of those banks. I talk with them every time, even among the regulators. And that is the truth. All valid obligations have not been paid, but he's doing his best to pay those obligations. And beyond even paying all the obligations, we also look at the positions of most MSMEs in Nigeria. Over the last 8 years, I know of many companies that have billions of naira close in their books because they completed transactions at 460 naira to $1 that they are going to be paying today at about 1,500 to $1 for no fault of their own. The likes of Nestle have been wiped out. MTN has negative. If the likes of Nestle, the likes of MTN, the likes of Dangote, you saw their report, they begin to imagine what had been happening to MSMEs in Nigeria, who do not even have the kind of sophistication that you have in the Treasury Department of most of these big corporations. There are major holes in the banking industry today that need to be plugged. And those major holes are as a result of companies who honestly transacted but are now exposed to heavy liquid credit. CBN should also go extra mile. They need to meet with the banks and reach a middle line. It's double jeopardy for somebody to have a whole of over 7 billion in his books. And now he's going to be made to borrow money or transact at 6% per annum to trade out that loss. CBN will have to meet with the banks. Sit down sincerely. Look at such companies in their books and see how they can provide special Naira facilities at nothing less than 12% per annum under the CBN window to enable them to trade out and give them at least 5 years to come out of this one.
If what you're saying is confirmed that not all valid backlog has been cleared, then that would be concerning, because it would then mean that there's no truth to what is being put out. And then I wonder what the strength of the fact that they've mentioned that Deloitte was involved in vetting every single transaction that was carried out. So that's something that gives cause for concern. Anyway. Hello, are you there with us?
I'm here. The call was coming in.
All right.
I can hear you now.
I was saying that if what you're saying is true, if we find out that what you're saying is true, then should that be a reason for us to be worried? Because they have said that Deloitte was involved in certifying and investigating every single transaction that was carried out. Is that something to be concerned about?
Deloitte, PwC, KPMG were involved in auditing banks before Sanusi tsunami in 2009. Most of the banks that went into distress, most of the banks that were taken over by the CBN, most of the banks that created 5.3 trillion naira loans that have been acquired by AMCON were audited by Deloitte, by PwC, by KPMG. That Deloitte, KPMG, or PwC were involved in auditing a process does not make that process foolproof. If the auditing process was foolproof, why did we have in 2009 many banks that failed the stress test of the CBN? And if the CBN should carry out stress test again in banks today, many banks will still fail. There is this report out there that the CBN is already investigating over 20 trillion naira insider-related loans by directors of banks. And of course, by the time that report comes out, there's going to be another major tsunami. That Deloitte is involved does not make it foolproof. And I need the media men to go out there and ask questions. The bankers cannot come out and talk to you openly because they are under strict observations, and of course they are under regulation. Nobody wants the hammer to hit him on the head. But the truth is, there are thousands of MSMEs in the banking industry today that have billions and trillions of naira holes because of FX devaluation losses. That was not a fault of their own. These are exogenous factors that had nothing to do with their business operation and all those stuff. So let us be sincere. The media need to go out there. It's not me saying it. Yeah. Do some confidential. Let out, call the treasurers of the banks, call the MDs, call the customers themselves. If you decide that, create a platform, confidential platform, and ask companies in the Nigerian banking system whose LC obligations, final obligations have not been delivered to report to you, and you see the kind of deluge of information that you have.
Yeah. All right. In just about a minute, we need to end the conversation. While the government is going, against these 15 terrorism financiers, and Nigerians, of course, sit back and watch to see what actions or what steps will be taken. Another critical question for you would be: is this, going to be the reality, of the Naira exchanging for 1,003 to 1,005? Can we honestly still have any hope that we might fall back down to 500 or 600 naira, or maybe 240?
Let me tell you, if we do the right things, if we do the right things, tackle corruption headlong through deterrence. I mean,
what I'm asking is, if we don't do any of all these things, if we continue to, do what we are currently doing,
if we continue to do what we are currently doing without changing direction, mark it before the end of this year, Naira will go back to 2,000.
And if we decide to, if we are able to implement all these measures that you've talked about, what will be the time frame for us to start to see an effect on the Naira?
I said, let me tell you, there's what we call pronouncements and actions. If we pronounce it and you see actions by the government, just the sincerity of even the steps taken. See, that's what we call confidence. The American dollar is not hedged against any dollar, bullion fund or whatever. The American dollar is strong because of the confidence the global public, the global investors have, the full faith they have on the institution and transparency of the American state institutions of the American states. That is why if you do a contract with a Chinese today and you want to pay him with the yuan renminbi, he will tell you, no, give me dollar. Why? It's the confidence and trust that people have on the American government and the institutions of the states. We can replicate the same confidence here in Nigeria, and I know we have capacity to do it. The current government can do it. They have some good hands, from the Mikadoso to Wale Edu, and to some of the guys, even to the ICT minister. They have some good hands, but they need to step forward and be sincere, do the right things.
All right.
You see, politics is over. This is time to govern. Take these hard-boiled decisions. It's going to be painful to the establishment or the people I call the elitist gangsters. But if you do it, you watch Nigeria. Nigeria is such a blessing. There's no country in the whole world that is as blessed by God as Nigeria. We have some of the smartest human capital in the whole world. We are the most naturally endowed nation ever created by God. And all we need is leadership. Honest, sincere, patriotic, committed, altruistic, and selfless leadership. If we can get at least 10%, not like Abraham was asking God, if you can see 5%. If we can get even 5% among these that purport to govern us, people like Alex, 5% of them, this country will fly.
All right. Mr. Obiariri, or Dr. Obiariri, it's a pleasure to have you always. We certainly look forward to having you. And maybe this time we'll be discussing more pleasant stories and seeing the progress that the Naira has made and that CBN has made. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much.